Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to be back on live. Today, as usual, we have an exciting topic to discuss. I'm going to be sharing with you the latest in U.S. immigration news. We have some really interesting updates, so you guys join in. Don't forget to share the live and then stay tuned because it's going to be a wonderful time with the law. A wonderful time with the law, with the law, with the law. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys. So yesterday, the American, Association of Immigration Lawyers, they released a sort of like a memo or a document which is as a result of a meeting that the American immigration lawyers actually had with the U.S. Department of State concerning some interesting issues. And so we're going to be looking at very few of these issues. We're not going to be reviewing the entire document, just the pertinent and interesting issues. Guys, we're live on Instagram. Instagram, as you guys are welcome. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. TikTokers, you guys are welcome. All of you are welcome. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. If you want to see what's going on the screen, you can join on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Okay, so let me share my screen right here, and then let's just get started with um, everything. Okay, so let's talk about immigrant intent and NIV refusals. Hold on. Let me see. I think I've gotten to the end of the document already. No, I'm going to go back. I don't even know why this went all the way at the bottom. Guys, please stick with me. I will. Okay, so let me scroll all the way up. Let me scroll all the way up and then we'll come to that section as well. Maybe we could actually start with that. And then we'll talk about, okay, we can start with this. So people, they raised the issue of inadmissibility issues and visa refusal. No, we cannot start with this. I'm so sorry. No, let's go all the way back. This is not what I thought we were going to discuss. No, we have to, there's something else. There's another topic that we need to discuss before this. Thank you guys for your patience. We're going to start with we'll discuss the backlog a little bit, and then we'll discuss a few things happening around, in US embassies around the world as well. These are things that affect your immigration applications, your visas. So please stay tuned and then, get the whole picture of what's going on. Knowledge is power, right? Remember? So it's important that you are aware of some of these happenings. Okay. Alrighty. So the U.S. Embassy has stated that non-immigrant visa applicants, meaning that if you are applying for, let's say, a B2 visa or a student visa, you can actually apply at any embassy in the world, wherever you're physically present, and you can obtain a visa appointment, then you can apply at that place. You don't necessarily need to be a resident at that place. Okay, so that's the first thing to note. And people were inquiring from the U.S. Department of State about moving to virtual interviews, because here in the United States, they've actually moved a lot to virtual interviews. You go for a citizenship interview, you go into the USCIS field office, and you're talking to a screen. You'll be with the client, and we're talking to a screen. The officer is conducting the interview remotely. He's not in the room with you. We've moved court hearings, immigration court. We're doing a lot of WebEx, you see. So you are in your room, and then you are attending a hearing in the comfort of your office or in your room. So they wanted to find out when it comes to the non-immigrant visa applicants, if can people apply for a visa, be in their bedroom in Accra or in Lagos or in Tokyo and apply, talk to the consular officer through a video, a virtual interview for non-immigrant visa applications? And the answer is no. They're actually currently trying to see, because with immigrant visa and non-immigrant visa applications, they normally require fingerprints, and then they also want, of course, the biometrics, and they also want these people to take an oath before an officer, and for their own reasons. They said for these and other reasons, they find that video interviews will not be too useful at this time. So they're not moving to video interviews at the US embassies anytime soon. Okay, so take note of that. Now let me move on to the next topic. We're just going to do bite-sized. What's going on with my screen? Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I found okay, right there. Guys, I'm not technologically deficient. Sometimes it is just the tech can get very complicated. So bear with me here. Okay. We are right back on track. Now let me scroll down. Okay, so they also talked about the fact that they've moved a lot to they've done a lot of interview waivers. Guys, remember that they're using the process of interview waivers to reduce the backlogs, both in US embassies and then here in the US. So here in the US, they're actually granting interview waivers. So if you apply for a green card, you may not be called for an interview, especially if it's your second interview, for example, a removal of condition, or for whatever reason, your interview could be waived. If you are a parent of a US citizen filing, your interview could be waived if you submit your medicals and do certain things to make sure your application is complete. Now let's move to the US embassies around the world. They're also utilizing the tool of interview waivers to reduce backlogs. Okay, so there are, of course, qualifying criteria. Normally, if your visa has expired, has expired within will expire within the next 48 months, or has expired within, no, let me take it again. If your visa has expired within the last 48 months, especially, for example, Ghana, within the last 48 months, within the last 4 years, then you can, just mail in your documents and then get your visa renewed without going for an interview. So they are waiving those interviews. Of course, you have to fill out the DS 160 and then make sure you qualify for the interview waiver based on some eligibility criteria. So that's working as well. They're using the interview waivers to speed up the backlog, or kind of clear the backlog, in order for there to be faster adjudication. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the backlog. What's going on? Let me share. I don't know. Let me share the screen here. The Office of Consular Bureau. Let me share the screen and then we can talk more specifically about it. Okay, so there was a press briefing just about 3 months ago by the U.S. Department of State, and this was by Madam Staft. She's the Deputy Secretary for Visa Services of the Bureau of Consular Affairs. And she gave us an update about what's going on, when it comes to U.S. immigration, what the backlogs are and how things are looking. Things are looking good. This was just about 3 months ago. She gave this press briefing, and that's very good. Let me just recap some of the things she mentioned. Okay, so she mentioned that first of all, they've met demand and exceeded pre-pandemic visa levels for certain key category of travelers. Can you guys see the screen on YouTube? Is it too? Let me zoom some more if I can. don't think we can zoom in. Okay, so I'll just take the screen off because I think the writings are too small for you guys to see anyway. So I'll just talk to you. Okay, so first of all, this apparently they claim they have met demand and they've even exceeded pre-pandemic visa levels. Okay, so it means that they are processing more visas than they actually processed before COVID, before the year 2020. They've exceeded student visa adjudications, and apparently they have, this has been the year where they have reviewed or adjudicated more student visas in the world than 6 years ago. Okay, so okay, in their words, they said also this summer we exceeded student visa adjudications for before any other year other than 6 years ago. I think was the last record that has gotten as high as we are now. So we've adjudicated more visas this year than in the past 6 years. So yes, what they're saying is that they've adjudicated more visas this year than in the past 6 years. That's really astounding. I mean, if they've adjudicated more visas than in the past 6 years, that's very good, meaning the cases are being processed really, really fast. So that's great. If you're a student, this is good news for you. Also, they said in the U.S. embassies around the world, what's happening is that they've adjudicated about 70% more non-immigrant visas than last year. Wow, there's a 70% jump in the number of visas non-immigrant visas they've processed. And they have actually, so they said each month they process about 800,000 non-immigrant visa applications as posts overseas. So U.S. embassies in Jamaica, in Ghana, in Kenya, they've processed about 800,000 non-immigrants. So non-immigrant visas are the B2s, the student visas, the J1 types of visas, okay? And what they're saying is that immigrant visa processing is almost back to normal levels. Immigrant visas are people who are here who are filed for their family members, or for people who are trying to come here to get the green card for the immigrant visa. They're trying to immigrate to the US and live here permanently. And apparently with the pre-pandemic backlogs are down 25% for the immigrant visas. So that's quite slower than the non-immigrant visas, but we'll take it. We'll take it, right? It's still, it's still better than the pandemic backlog, okay, during the pandemic, the backlog that was created. And what they're saying is that adjudications for immigrant visas are now at about 95% overseas. Okay, so at the same time, immigrant visa processing is almost back to normal levels, with the pre-pandemic backlogs down 25% and adjudications for immigrant visas at about 95% overseas. So they are really, really processing according to what the Secretary of State is claiming. Practically, I guess there's some movement, but we are not seeing it as much as they're saying. I guess we'll start feeling the pinch. Well, we'll start feeling, that there's less backlog within the next few months. Okay. And they're telling us, they gave a few reasons as to why they're now currently able to clear these backlogs. Number one, they have new authorities. The first one is the Interview Waiver Authority that we mentioned. Okay, so they are now waiving in-person interviews for a number of key visa categories. And yeah, so some of the visas they are waiving interviews for are temporary agricultural workers and applicants who have previously traveled to the US in categories in which they are traveling, or sometimes in other categories as well. So if you've previously traveled on a B2 and your B2 visa is expired, then you can most likely apply for an interview waiver for that type of visa when you are renewing without having to schedule and go in person for an interview. Okay, also they're also saying that currently visa appointments are at half of the overseas posts. I believe there are about roughly 300 US embassies and consulates around the world, and about half of them Maybe about 150 of them, the visa wait times less than 4 months. Even for Ghana, I can attest to that. Ghana, I think last week we were at about maybe about 106 days wait time if you're trying to schedule a B2 visa. Now it's gone back to about 116. I think yesterday when I checked for a client, back to, it's increased a little bit, but it's still good. It's still less than roughly, I believe, 4 months. So that's still very good. And also staffing, they are engaging and increasing the number of consular officers who are around the world to reduce, wait times, because there's now an increase in demand for visas. Guys, you guys know there's a recession in Ghana, in Nigeria, in the UK, in Europe, even in America. There's people are losing their jobs. There's money has become tight. So people are trying to find ways to come to America, the land of opportunity, to come and work and get some dollars, okay, so that they can take back to their country. So they're finding that there's an increase in demand for visas, and so they are increasing the people who, adjudicators, experienced adjudicators, to be able to adjudicate these cases. Okay. And also they are doing what we know as expedited visa appointments. That's for business travel, urgent humanitarian, or medical travel. So you need to, consult, go to the website of the U.S. Embassy near you where you're trying to file the expedite. Normally, to file an expedite, you have to book the regular appointment, and then you can now upgrade to expedite. You request the expedite. Okay, so guys, if you need help with that, go to the U.S. Embassy near you, the website, and then check how to file an expedite appointment to see if you qualify. And again, if you find you're not able to do that, call us and we'll help you. Okay. The last thing that the Secretary of State mentioned in her press briefing was that at the State Department, they are now viewing visa workload globally. So there's now a global database where they are viewing visas globally, and it means that now people can apply anywhere in the world where there's an appointment available. So if you're in a country where there's a long wait time, then you can go to another post and then you can apply for your visa. Guys, this just simply means that if there's a global database, whatever you submit at one post can be viewed, your records can be viewed globally in the U.S. Department of State's database. So you want to be careful. You cannot go to one embassy and say you are married and go to the next U.S. embassy and say you are not married. There's going to be a problem. Your information has to be consistent across. Okay, so they are viewing visa workload globally. There's a global database. So that's for your information. Okay, now let me stop sharing the screen, and then let's go back to our main document. We're going back to our main documents. There's something really interesting I want to chat with you about. I'm going to be telling you about visa denials. We're going to be looking at the wording, how the officers are supposed to deny visas and the process, the procedure they're supposed to. Okay, well, let's talk about this first. The next thing we're going to be talking about is immigrant intent and non-immigrant visa refusals. So there's been an increase in these type of cases. So where let's say you have a pending immigrant visa, and then you apply for a non-immigrant visa. Let's say your mom has filed for you, and then you want to come, your mom has filed for you. Maybe she's a U.S. citizen. You are the unmarried child of a U.S. citizen. F1 category. Wait times are long. Let's say, 8 years you're waiting, and you want to come and visit her in the meantime. The regulations say that they should give you a visa so far as you are eligible for the non-immigrant visa. Okay. Let me pull this up, non-immigrant visa. Let me see if I'll find this. Okay. So insofar as you are eligible for the non-immigrant visa, it does not matter that you have an immigrant visa pending. They should give you the visa. But what we're finding is that it becomes very, very, very hard to for them to approve you for a non-immigrant visa once they find out that you have an immigrant visa petition pending. Once they find this out, they would most likely deny you a visa. Okay. Because they think that once they give you a B2 visa and you come to the US, you are no longer going to return to your country. So now what they're saying is that when they find sometimes that you have an I-130 visa petition pending or you have a visa lottery application pending, they'll deny you the visa for 214B under section 214B of the INA, meaning that you were were not able to prove that you do not have immigrant intent. Now, what the Department of State said that the pendency of an immigration petition by itself is not dispositive of eligibility for a non-immigrant visa. However, a refusal under section INA 214B indicates the applicant did not establish eligibility for the visa category being applied for or did not overcome the presumption of immigrant intent. Guys, note again, if you're applying for an immigrant visa, the presumption of immigrant intent is at play and you have to overcome that presumption. Section INA 291 places the burden of proof on you, the applicant, to show them that, okay, I'm coming to the US for a short time. I do not intend to become an illegal immigrant here in the US. Now, let's go to 9 Foreign Affairs Manual, section 401.123. That's what that's the section that talks about the fact that even if you have an immigrant visa pending, they should I found it. They should not necessarily deny you a non-immigrant visa. I hope this is clear, guys. Okay, I found it. Let me share the screen with you guys right here. I'll stop this and then let's share. Let's see from the actual text of the law so that because I get this question quite a lot. Oh, my mom has filed a visa, an immigrant visa application for me. I want to come and visit her because, my priority date is not yet current. Will I be refused a visa? Your answer is right here. It depends. They should not refuse you a visa simply because 904, I think this is it. Simply because you have an immigrant visa petition pending. Okay, so now I'm sharing my screen here with you guys. If you guys can see under 9 Foreign Affairs Manual 401, the last subsection E, it says that you may issue. So the Foreign Affairs Manual is the manual that actually adjudicates, that actually, the consular officers use to help them in the visa adjudication process. Okay, so it says you may issue, they're talking to the consular officers, you may issue visitor visas to applicants with immigrant visa applications pending or with immigrant visa petitions pending with a USCIS and with a USCIS. You must be satisfied that the applicant's intent in seeking entry into the United States is to engage in activities which are consistent with B1, B2 classification for a temporary stay, and that the applicant has a residence abroad which they do not intend to abandon, while an active immigrant visa application or petition is reflective of an intent to immigrate to the United States, unless you have reason to believe the applicant's true intent is to remain in the United States until such a time as an immigrant visa becomes available. You may issue the visa if the applicant is otherwise qualified. Okay, so this clearly shows you that consular officers have been instructed. It doesn't matter that this person has an immigrant visa petition pending. If they qualify for a non-immigrant visa application, grant them the visa. So far as what they're coming to do, the activities they're coming to undertake in the US is consistent with, B1, B2 classification for a temporary stay. Okay, so that answers that question. Now I'll stop sharing that screen. Let's move on to the next thing. We don't have too much time. I actually have a meeting within the next few minutes, so we have to hurry this up. Okay. Now let's talk some more about visa refusals. Yeah, let me talk a little bit more about this. We're scrolling down. Stick with me, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this live session. It's a little bit technical, but it contains very useful information that I know you will benefit from. Inadmissibility issues and visa refusal. So, guys, the Foreign Affairs Manual actually tells consular officers how to refuse visas. That's if you are abroad and you're applying for a visa to come to the United States. There's a process. Guys, I remember I told you guys there's even a method to madness, right? There's a method to everything, a method and a system to everything. These people, Americans, don't do things arbitrarily. Well, they are not supposed to. Some officers will do things arbitrarily, but that's not acceptable. You can challenge those things. Many of the things that they have to do have to be grounded in law and have to have a basis, a legal basis. Okay, so it says that they've received, there've been reports where consular sections, that's U.S. embassies abroad, they are not providing visa applicants a factual basis of immigrant visa or non-immigrant visa refusals or denials. They are simply right through A6CI fraud. Okay, now let's take a look at what an officer is supposed to do when they are refusing you a visa in a non-immigrant visa application and in an immigrant visa application case. Okay, let me pull this up. We're sharing a bunch of screens today, so I'm just like moving in and out of. Okay, so let's start with immigrant visa refusals. You guys will be surprised at what these people are supposed to do. Now, there's even a manner in which they're supposed to refuse immigrant visas. So you go to 9 Foreign Affairs Manual 504.11 to 3A1. When it comes to immigrant visas, they have to inform. Am I reviewing? Yes, this is for immigrant visas. They have to inform the applicant in orally and in writing. Okay. Manner in refusing applicants. The first thing is that they tell the officers, you should convey visa refusals in a sympathetic but firm manner. The way visa applications are refused can be very important in relations between the post and the population of the host country. You must be careful not to appear insensitive. 2, you should aim for a measured, sympathetic but firm style which will convince the ineligible applicant that the treatment accorded was fair. You should refer to pertinent statements of the applicant, written or oral, or to a conviction, medical report, false document, previous refusal, or the like, as the basis of the refusal. You should then explain the law simply and clearly. So they have to tell, you see, if you guys, for the Ghanaians, they know what I'm talking about. There was a song in the past, Yabanso Visaneya. Listen, when you are refused a visa, the pain cannot, the pain is incomparable to anything else in the world. It's very painful, you see. So they want to kind of tone it down. A consular officer cannot, you are an American, you're working in the U.S. Embassy in Accra, Ghana, and you refuse someone a visa and you go about it in a manner that's very insensitive. It's not acceptable. They have to refuse it in a very gentle manner because the refusal already hurts. And no matter how you put it to the applicant, they're already very hurt. So you don't make it worse, right? So they have to do it in a gentle manner. And then they have to also supply the provision of law under which the refusal is based, or on which the refusal is based, the factual basis of the refusal, missing documents, and then what procedural steps they can take that must be taken by the applicant and by the Department of State, and then if there's any way they can resolve their issues. They'll just give them information for the availability of waivers of ineligibility. So the consular officer is not a lawyer. They're not going to tell you exactly how to overcome. You need to see a lawyer for that, but they'll give you these type of steps. Okay, now let's take a look at non-immigrant visa refusals. What happens in those instances if you are being refused a non-immigrant visa like a B2 visa? Let's look at some interesting things. I think I've shared the wrong screen here. Hold on, guys. Let me take this off. Not this one. I'm not looking for this one. I'm looking for something else. Yes, right here. Non-immigrant visa refusals. I hope, yeah, I think this is it. Okay, perfect. When it comes to non-immigrant visa refusals, they just need to inform the applicant orally. Of course, they'll hand you a generic letter of your refusal, but the Foreign Affairs manual just says, they'll return documents to you, and then, yeah, they repeat it again. The way you refuse a visa, it's very important because it can destroy a relationship between the post and the host country. So if the U.S. Embassy is in Accra, Ghana, they want to maintain a diplomatic relationship between, my meeting time is up. I need to go on live. I'm sorry, I need to actually hop off soon. Yeah. I was texting my assistant to tell the person I'm meeting that I'm on live. I'm on, a live video, and I actually typed I'm in love. I'm on love. Predictive text. Okay, so they have to manage their relationship very well. They, you have to manage it well so that the people in that country don't feel as if the US Embassy is looking down on them, disrespects them and all of that. So they have to be very careful. Again, explanations of why a visa could not be issued, it doesn't need to be lengthy. Explain the law and the refusal politely and in clear terms, providing a citation of the legal section relied upon. I tell people, if you are refused a visa, you need to, they will give you the reason in law. The reason will be grounded in law. Okay, guys. So I hope you guys have benefited from this live video. I really have to hop. I have to hop off. Gosh. I hope I can come your way again soon this week. Hopefully. Alrighty. I couldn't read comments, but I see a Raj on Instagram says, please make enough time for us. Guys, I'm doing my best. Oh, you guys. This is something really important. I had a story to share about the visa lottery. Then you guys know today is the last day for the visa lottery. And the time is already passed. I believe by, is it 12 noon today, they closed the submissions. They closed, they're no longer allowing submissions. So I had a very interesting story to share with you guys, but I have to go now. Let me just read a couple of comments. Ni Osei Banaman says, you're doing a great job. Keep it up, ma'am. Thank you so much on Facebook. Thank you, Ni. Justice Kofi Barnes on LinkedIn says, this is great to learn. Oh, I'm so happy you guys are learning from this. Someone says, Radios on Facebook says, I just came. I hope I'm not too late. I'm not sure what you heard, but we have Greek cover. He's on Facebook. He says, "Hi, greetings. I'm watching you live from Makola." Hey, awesome. I miss Makola. That's where my law school was located. So I know Makola very, very well. Addington Moses in Sobila says, "Beautiful lawyer Poku. Beautiful lawyer Poku." Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kofi Albright Oforiata says, "Very impressive." Kofi is on Facebook. Thank you guys. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining. I will join you guys again hopefully soon. TikTok, thank you guys for watching. Instagram, LinkedIn, all of you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, share the feed so that it will encourage us to come up with, come more on live to share all the juice and the tea with you. I couldn't read anything from TikTok today. I'll join you guys again later. Okay, guys, I have to go. Take care. Bye. The comments are a lot. Otherwise, we're not going to leave tonight.